opposing forces are squaring off in the South Memphis home studio of artist Darlene Newman.
My style is fun and bright and happy, but I like the challenge of creating a work with a serious message, but yet keeping my style.
But this is a welcome war, constructive conflict.
It's like opposites that kind of collide and clash, and I like that. I like that aspect.
A happy marriage between style and substance is what Darlene is after. One draws the eye, the other engages the heart and mind. To achieve that, Darlene's unique look tends to portray people in an unusual way, through caricature.
You're taking the essence of a person and you're making all of that person exaggerated. And so I think what I do is I just see the person's personality or their features, which sometimes determine, it relates to their personality. So I take those things and now I exaggerate them.
Necks and faces are gracefully elongated and expressive. Anxious hands and fingers stretched to reach and grasp. Unnaturally long arms wrapped in a protective embrace. It doesn't have the comical intent usually associated with caricature.
There is humor in exaggeration, but a point can be made. It's kind of like putting an exclamation point at the end of a sentence.
Darlene's exclamation point of style and deep meaning is seen strongly in her work from adversity into advocacy. Addressing the challenge of breast cancer, this work is painted significantly on a door.
And so what I did was create an image with these 3 women of different races coming out of chemo. And then they're surviving. They're making it over these mountains, over this challenging time of survival, and finally they are into a peaceful place where they can become advocates for cancer awareness.
It's a message that makes a personal connection with Darlene's pastor, who also collects her art.
When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, Darlene and I talked a lot. In her pieces with breast cancer, you don't see anybody lamenting or feeling sorry or self-pity. What you see in her pieces are very confident women who can say, not that I have breast cancer, but I've been diagnosed, but I'm going through it.
Images of strong women expressed through exaggeration make another statement in a popular series of Darlene's paintings.
It's called Church Women in Hats, and I thought about creating work about where I'm from.
The paintings are a colorful look at the culture of singing, praise, prayer, and the energy of women in Southern African American churches. It's also a celebration of what they wear.
Just giant hats, they're like ornate.
The hat tradition began at a time when many Southern African American women wore the uniforms of maids during the week.
And so it wasn't about, hey, I have a lot of money, I can buy a $200 hat. It was more like, hey, this is who I am. I have this elegance, and I want you to recognize it today because I don't have a chance to show that the rest of the week.
Darlene's need to give her work depth once led her to create works drawn from an unlikely source with the help of an unexpected collaborator.
My father has been a musician in Memphis for over 50 years.
I was a transcriber, like when I was with Isaac Hayes and all that, all the violin parts and stuff, and we used to have to write the stuff out in ink, black ink. And I ended up with maybe 2 quarts of it left.
The result is a series called Inspired by Memphis Musicians. Darlene's expressive drawings of jazz, soul, and folk artists rendered in her father's ink.
This ink was used to create music that's done by these artists. I thought that was an amazing connection.
Clearly, Darlene Newman is doing what she was born to do. She uses her own style to create meaning beneath images of people whose expressions indicate they are deeply immersed in emotion.
I think that I portray people involved in an emotional state because that's mostly what life is. You're trying to deal with different situations and different emotions. And for instance, in this series, I'm kind of portraying God as the way to get through whatever the state is or whatever the situation is. So, these emotions may not be necessarily happy ones or good ones, but, there's hope at the end.
And that sense of hope is what Darlene desires to remain when her style and a meaningful message come together on her canvas.
Years from now, when somebody sees my work that at the time I might have done 30 years before, I would like them to think the same thing that they think now, which is that it has the same message, that it's positive and uplifting.